Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the New Horizon, watching the stars through the main viewport. The research ship had been traveling through deep space for 3 weeks now. Mapping unknown systems at the edge of human territory was quiet work, but Jake liked it that way. No politics, no military drama, just pure exploration. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange," called Lisa Grant from her position at the communications console. Her fingers moved quickly across the controls as she adjusted frequencies and filters. Jake walked over to her station. Lisa had been with him for 2 years, and she never got excited about nothing. "What kind of strange?" "It's a signal, but not like anything in our databases. The pattern is too regular to be natural, but it's not using any known communication protocols." Lisa frowned as she worked. "It's also very weak, like it's coming from far away, or the source is dying." Ben Parker, the chief engineer, looked up from his engineering station. "Could be equipment failure somewhere. Space is full of broken satellites and dead ships." "No, this is different," Lisa said, shaking her head. "Listen to this." She put the signal through the bridge speakers. A series of sounds filled the air, high-pitched whistles mixed with deep, rhythmic pulses. It sounded almost musical, but there was something desperate about it. The pattern repeated every 30 seconds, with slight variations each time. Dr. Amy Rodriguez appeared on the bridge, drawn by the unusual sounds. As the ship's xenobiologist, she studied alien life forms, though so far humans had never found any intelligent species. "That's fascinating. The variations in the pattern suggest complex information transfer. This isn't random." Jake felt his heart beat faster. After decades of searching, had they finally found proof that humans weren't alone in the universe? "You decode it?" Lisa was already working on that problem. "I'm running it through every translation program we have. The computer is trying to find mathematical relationships, basic concepts, anything that might give us a starting point." Hours passed. The bridge crew took turns eating and resting, but someone always stayed to monitor the signal. Weaker, which worried everyone. If this really was a message from another species, they might be running out of time to understand it. Danny Sullivan. The ship's pilot brought coffee to Lisa's station. "Any luck?" "Maybe," she said, not looking away from her screens. The computer found something interesting. "See this pattern here?" She pointed to a series of peaks on her display. It repeats in groups of 8, then groups of 5, then groups of 3, 8, 5, 3. Amy leaned in closer. Those could be prime numbers. A universal mathematical concept that any intelligent species would understand. "That's what I thought," Lisa said. "If we assume that's what they're doing, then other parts of the message start to make sense. Look at this section it shows. What might be coordinates in three-dimensional space?" Jake studied the data. "Where do the coordinates point to?" Lisa's fingers flew across her controls as she fed the information into the navigation computer. A star map appeared on the main screen, with a red dot marking a location about 12 light-years away. "It's a system we haven't explored yet. Single star probably has planets." "In this section here," Amy said, pointing to another part of the decoded message, could be some kind of status report. "The mathematical relationships suggest declining values over time. Like life support systems failing," Ben said grimly. The bridge fell silent as everyone realized what they might be looking at. This wasn't just first contact with an alien species. It was a distress call, Lisa said quietly. "There's more. The message includes what looks like a description of their ship and the beings aboard it. If I'm reading this right, there are hundreds of them." Jake made his decision quickly. "Set course for those coordinates. Maximum speed." Lisa, keep monitoring the signal. "Amy, I want you to work with Lisa on decoding more of the message. Ben, check all our systems. If we're going to attempt a rescue, I need to know what we're capable of." "Sir," Danny said from the pilot's seat. "It will take us 4 days to reach that system, even at full speed." "Then we better hope they can last that long." As the New Horizon changed course and accelerated toward the unknown system, the crew worked around the clock to learn more about their mysterious contact. The signal continued to weaken, but Lisa and Amy made steady progress in understanding it. They learned that the aliens called themselves the Villani. Their ship was called the Gentle Current, and it carried refugees fleeing from some kind of conflict. The vessel was trapped in a decaying orbit around a gas giant, with failing power systems and damaged engines. Captain Amy said during one of their briefing sessions, "I think I understand why no one else has responded to their distress call. According to what we've decoded, they've been sending this message on multiple frequencies for days. They mentioned something called the Galactic Collective." What's that? I'm not sure, but it sounds like some kind of alliance of different species. The Villani seem to expect help from this collective, but no one has come. Ben shook his head. Maybe this collective doesn't exist, or maybe they're too far away to help. Or maybe, Jake said thoughtfully, we're the first ones to pick up the signal who are both willing and able to do something about it. Race toward the distant system. The crew prepared for anything they might find: first contact protocols, emergency medical supplies, and equipment for a possible rescue mission. But they all knew they were heading into the unknown. Ryan Cole, the security chief, had been quiet during most of the discussions, but he finally spoke up during one of their planning sessions. "Captain, we need to consider the risks here. We don't know anything about these aliens. What if this is some kind of trap? You think they're faking? A distress call? I don't know what to think. But we're a research ship with a crew of 43 people. If this goes wrong, we might all die out here, and Earth will never know what happened to us." Jake understood Ryan's concerns, but he had already made up his mind. "We're not military, Ryan. We're explorers and scientists. If there are people out there who need help, we help them. That's what humans do." As they entered the final day before reaching the system, the alien signal became almost too weak to detect. Lisa had to boost the receivers to maximum sensitivity just to pick it up. "I'm worried we might be too late," she told Jake privately. "We'll find out soon enough," he replied. The New Horizon dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system. Immediately, their sensors began scanning for the source of the distress signal. It didn't take long to find it. "There," Danny said, pointing to his navigation display, around the fourth planet, the gas giant, detecting a ship in decaying orbit. On the main screen, an image appeared that took everyone's breath away. The alien vessel was unlike anything humans had ever built. It looked like it was made of crystal and light, graceful curves flowing along its length. But even from a distance, they could see that it was in trouble. Parts of the hull were dark, and it was wobbling in its orbit. "God," Amy whispered. "It's beautiful." "And it's dying," Ben added, reading the sensor data. "Power signatures are almost gone. They've got maybe hours left before their orbit decays completely." Jake looked around at his crew. They had found the source of the distress call, and now they had to decide what to do about it. The alien ship was clearly in desperate need of help, but the New Horizon wasn't designed for dangerous rescue operations. "Lisa, can you make contact with them?"
"Captain."
As Lisa worked to establish communication with the alien vessel, Jake realized that the next few hours would change everything. Humanity was about to make first contact with another intelligent species, and it was happening because people were in trouble and needed help. He couldn't think of a better way for it to begin. Lisa Grant worked frantically at her communications console, trying to establish contact with the alien vessel. The crystal ship hung in space before them, slowly tumbling as it fell deeper into the gas giant's gravity well. Warning lights flashed across her screens as she boosted power to the communications array. "I'm sending greetings on multiple frequencies," she told Captain Morrison. Using the same mathematical patterns we decoded from their distress signal, minutes passed with no response. The alien ship continued its deadly spiral toward the gas giant below. Ben Parker studied the sensor readings with growing concern. "Captain, their power output is dropping fast. At this rate, they'll lose life support within 6 hours. After that, the ship will break apart in the atmosphere." Jake Morrison stood behind Lisa's chair, watching her work. "Keep trying. They managed to send that distress signal somehow." Suddenly, Lisa's console came alive with new signals. The same musical tones they had been hearing for days filled the bridge, but now they were much stronger and more complex. "Getting a response?" Lisa said excitedly. They're trying to talk to us? Amy Rodriguez rushed to Lisa's side, watching the translation programs work on the incoming message. The computer is finding patterns. Look, they're sending mathematical sequences again, but now they're building on them. Basic addition, then multiplication, then more complex concepts. They're teaching us their language, Jake realized. 4. The next hour, the two ships exchanged mathematical concepts and basic vocabulary. The aliens were patient teachers, repeating concepts until the human computers could understand them. Slowly, actual communication became possible. The first real message from the aliens was simple but shocking. You came. Did not believe anyone would come. Lisa typed a response into the translation system. We received your distress call. We are here to help. A long pause followed, then help. You would risk yourselves for strangers. What species are you? We are humans from the planet Earth. What are you called? We are Villani. I am Captain Zathera of the vessel Gentle Current. We carry 347 souls fleeing from war in our home system. Our ship is dying, and we will die with it. Jake leaned over Lisa's shoulder and spoke directly into the microphone. Captain Zathera, this is Captain Jake Morrison of Earth Vessel New Horizon. We are going to get you out of there. Another long pause, then. Captain Morrison, you do not understand. You're trapped in a gravity field that is destroying our ship. Any vessel that comes close enough to help us will also be destroyed. We have accepted our fate. Well, we haven't accepted it, Jake replied firmly. Can you send us technical data about your ship? We need to understand what we're working with. Data began flowing from the alien vessel to the New Horizon. Amy and Ben studied the information with amazement. The Villani ship used technology completely different from human designs. Instead of metal and ceramics, their hull was made from grown crystal matrices. Their power came from carefully controlled matter-antimatter reactions contained in magnetic fields. This is incredible, Amy said, looking at biological data about the Villani themselves. They're unlike anything we could have imagined. Information painted a picture of a species that was both beautiful and fragile. The Villani were tall and thin, with translucent skin that glowed softly in different colors depending on their emotional state. They had large, multifaceted eyes like insects, but their faces were gentle and expressive. Most importantly, they were incredibly delicate. Look at this, Amy said, pointing to physiological data. Their bones are hollow, like bird bones, but even more fragile. Their muscle density is about 1/10 of human muscle. They evolved on a world with gravity less than half of Earth's. Ben was studying the technical specifications of their ship. Their entire vessel is designed for a species that weighs almost nothing. The artificial gravity on their ship is set to just 30% of Earth normal. No wonder they think any rescue attempt is impossible. Jake studied the tactical situation on the main screen. The alien ship was caught in a complex gravitational dance between the gas giant and two of its moons. Solar radiation from the nearby star was cooking both ships, and the increasing gravitational stress was slowly tearing the crystal vessel apart. Danny, Jake called to his pilot. Can we get close enough to establish a physical connection with their ship? Danny Sullivan ran calculations on his navigation computer. It would be dangerous, Captain. The gravitational stresses in that region are extreme. One wrong move, and we could end up in the same situation they're in. But it's possible? Possible, yes? Recommended no. Jake opened the communication channel again. Captain Zathera, we need to know more about your people. Much do you weigh? What kind of environmental conditions do you need to survive? The answer came back quickly. Each of us weighs approximately 15 of your kilograms. We require a temperature of 22 degrees in specific atmospheric gases. But Captain Morrison, why do you ask these questions, even if you could somehow reach us? Your ship could not carry so many additional beings. Amy ran quick calculations. Captain, they might be wrong about that. If they really weigh only 15 kilograms each, that's about 33 pounds. We could fit all of them in our cargo bays if we modify the life support systems. Jake made his decision. Captain Zathera, we're coming to get you. Prepare your people for evacuation. Captain Morrison, you do not understand the danger. Da-da-da-da. Radiation levels around our ship would kill most known species within minutes. The gravitational forces would crush any normal rescue vessel. We appreciate your courage, but we cannot allow you to die for us. Let us worry about the dangers, Jake replied. Focus on getting your people ready to move. As the New Horizon began moving toward the trapped alien vessel, Captain Zethera sent another message. Captain Morrison, I must ask. What kind of world do humans come from? Your willingness to risk death for strangers is unknown among the civilized species of the galaxy. Amy looked up from her console. How should we answer that? Jake thought for a moment. Tell them the truth. Lisa typed the response. Earth is a dangerous world. We have survived earthquakes, storms, predators, diseases, and many other threats. We learned long ago that we must help each other to survive. The alien response came quickly. Dangerous world. You mean a death world? This explains much. Only Deathworld species would attempt such a rescue. But Captain Morrison, Deathworld species are believed to be violent and primitive. You are neither. Maybe your beliefs about Deathworld species are wrong, Jake replied. As the New Horizon approached the failing alien ship, both crews worked together to plan the rescue. The Villani provided detailed information about their ship's layout and the location of their people. The humans prepared equipment and space for hundreds of refugees. Captain Zethera sent increasingly worried messages as the human ship entered the dangerous region around his vessel. Captain Morrison, our sensors show massive radiation exposure. On your ship, your crew should already be dead. We're wearing protective suits and we've reinforced our shielding, Jake replied. Don't worry about us. But privately, Jake was worried. The radiation levels were higher than anything they had planned for. The gravitational stresses were making the ship's hull creak and groan. Warning alarms sounded throughout the New Horizon. As systems struggled to cope with the extreme conditions, Ben Parker called from engineering, Captain, we're at the edge of what our ship can handle. Hull stress is approaching critical levels. On the main screen, the alien vessel grew larger. Up close, it was even more beautiful than it had appeared from a distance. The crystal hull caught and reflected light in rainbow patterns, but ugly cracks were spreading across its surface like a spider web. There, Danny said, pointing to a section of the alien ship that looks like a docking port. Lisa established. Contact again. Captain Zethera, we're approaching your docking port. Are your people ready? They are ready. But Captain Morrison, I must warn you. Our people have never seen beings like humans before. Your species appears very different from us, and some may be frightened. We understand, Jake replied. We'll be as gentle as possible. As the two ships slowly came together in the deadly environment around the gas giant, both crews prepared for humanity's first face-to-face meeting with an alien species. Neither group knew exactly what to expect, but they were about to find out that the differences between their species were even greater than anyone had imagined. The New Horizon's docking clamps engaged with a soft thud that echoed through both ships. Jake looked around at his crew, all wearing heavy radiation suits and breathing masks. Remember, he said over the comm system, we're not just representing ourselves here, representing all of humanity. Let's make a good first impression. The airlock between the two ships opened with a soft hiss. Jake Morrison stepped through first, wearing his heavy radiation suit and carrying emergency medical supplies. The gravity on the Villani ship was so light that he had to be careful not to push off too hard from the floor. The first thing he noticed was the beauty of their surroundings. The corridors were made of the same crystal material as the ship's hull, glowing softly with pale blue light. Everything was curved and flowing, like the inside of a seashell. But cracks were spreading through the walls, and some sections flickered as the ship's power failed. Amy Rodriguez followed close behind, carrying her medical scanner and supplies for treating alien injuries. Ben Parker came next with engineering tools, ready to help stabilize the failing ship. Ryan Cole brought up the rear, watching for any signs of danger. The atmosphere is breathable, Amy reported through her suit radio. Oxygen levels are actually higher than Earth normal. They'd only taken a few steps when the first Villani appeared around a corner. Jake stopped breathing for a moment. Nothing could have prepared him for actually seeing one of the aliens in person. The Villani was tall, nearly 7 feet high, but so thin that it looked like it might break if touched. Its skin was translucent, showing delicate bone structures underneath, and it glowed with a soft golden light. Its eyes were huge and multifaceted like a dragonfly's, but filled with obvious intelligence and emotion. The alien froze when it saw the humans. Its skin color shifted from gold to a pale blue, which Amy guessed meant fear or surprise. It made a sound like wind chimes mixed with bird song. "Hello," Jake said slowly, hoping his translation device was working. "We are here too. Help." The Villani's skin shifted to a warmer color, and it spoke in its musical language. Translation came through their earpieces. "You are the humans. You are so ... solid and tall. I am Guide Kethel. Captain Zathera waits for you in the center of our ship." As they moved through the corridors, more Villani appeared. They pressed themselves against the walls as the humans passed, clearly frightened by the bulky radiation suits and the strange appearance of the rescuers. Some of the younger Villani made high-pitched sounds that seemed to be crying. "They're terrified of us," Amy whispered over the radio. "Can you blame them?" Ryan replied. "We probably look like walking death machines in these suits." They reached the ship's central chamber, where Captain Zathera waited with several other Villani. The captain was slightly larger than the others, with skin that glowed in shifting patterns of silver and blue. When he saw the humans, his colors brightened. "Captain Morrison," Zathera said through the translator, "you came. I still cannot believe it, but I fear you have doomed yourselves along with us. Your ship cannot escape the gravity well that traps us both." Jake removed his helmet, ignoring Amy's worried protest. The Villani gasped and stepped back as they saw his face. Without the helmet, Jake looked much more human and less like a machine, but he was still alien to them. "We're not trapped." Yet, Jake said, "Ben, what's the situation with their ship?" Ben was scanning the walls with his instruments. "It's worse than I thought, Captain. The crystal matrix that makes up their hull is failing at the molecular level. This ship was never designed to handle this kind of stress. We've got maybe 2 hours before it breaks apart completely." "How many people do we need to evacuate?" Jake asked Captain Zathera. "The 147 souls," the alien captain replied. "But Captain Morrison, even if your ship could carry us all, the docking tunnel between our vessels cannot survive much longer. The gravitational stresses are tearing it apart." Jake made a quick decision. "We'll have to work fast then. Need you to examine some of the Villani and figure out what they need to survive on our ship? Ben, can you do anything to stabilize their vessel long enough for the evacuation?" "I can try," Ben said, "but I'll need to access their engineering systems. The technology is completely different from ours." Captain Zathera's skin shifted too. "Worried colors? Our engineers will help, but you must understand. The radiation levels in our engine areas would kill most beings instantly. Even we can only work there for short periods." "Show us the way," Jake said. As they moved deeper into the ship, Jake began to understand just how different the 2 species were. The Villani moved like dancers, barely touching the ground as they glided through their low-gravity environment. They spoke in musical tones, and their emotions showed clearly in the shifting colors of their skin. The human crew, in contrast, moved with purpose and determination. Their heavy suits clanked against the delicate crystal floors. They spoke in short, practical sentences and focused on solving problems rather than discussing them. When they reached the engineering section, Ben stared in amazement at the Villani power systems. Instead of mechanical equipment, the ship was powered by what looked like a captured star, a bright point of light held in place by invisible magnetic fields. "This is incredible," Ben said to the Villani engineer who accompanied them. "You're actually containing a matter-antimatter reaction in a magnetic bottle, but the containment field is failing." The Villani engineer, whose name translated as Song of Sparks, glowed with distressed colors. "Yes, the gravitational stress has damaged the field generators. When containment fails, the explosion will destroy both our ships." Ben studied the alien technology with growing understanding. "Our ships use different technology, but the basic principles are the same. I need to reroute power through the backup systems." "Impossible," Song of Sparks replied. The radiation in this area would kill you in minutes. Even in your protective suit, you cannot survive here. Ben looked at his radiation detector. Levels were indeed deadly, far beyond what any human should be able to survive. But the gauge was measuring only the immediate area. What if I work quickly? Before anyone could stop him, Ben removed his helmet and stepped toward the failing containment system. The Villani made sounds of horror and backed away. Ben, what are you doing? Ami shouted over the radio. My job, Ben replied. He began working on the alien systems, his hands moving quickly and surely, despite the deadly environment. Song of Sparks watched in amazement. As the human engineer worked in radiation levels that should have killed him instantly. How is this possible? Your species can survive in conditions that would destroy us in seconds. Meanwhile, Amy was working with a group of Villani to prepare them for evacuation. She quickly discovered that the aliens were even more fragile than their medical data had suggested. Their bones were so delicate that normal human handling would break them. Their organs were arranged differently, and they breathed a mixture of gases that was close to, but not exactly the same as Earth's atmosphere. We'll need to carry them very carefully, Amy told Jake over the radio. They're so light that Earth's gravity would be dangerous for them, but they're also incredibly fragile. One wrong move could seriously injure them. Understood, Jake replied. How are we doing on time? Not good. Danny's voice came over the radio from the New Horizon. The docking tunnel is showing stress fractures. We've got maybe 30 minutes before it fails completely. Jake looked around at the hundreds of Villani who needed to be evacuated. Men, women, and children. All glowing with worried colors as they prepared to trust their lives to these strange beings from a death world. All right, people, Jake said to his crew. We do this the hard way. Amy, you coordinate the medical evacuation. Make sure each Villani is properly supported during transport. Ryan, organize the able-bodied aliens into groups and get them moving toward our ship. Ben, how much more time do you need? Almost done, Ben called back. I've rerouted power through their backup systems. It should buy us another hour or two. Song of Sparks stared at the human engineer in wonder. You have done in minutes what we believed was impossible. The radiation should have killed you. Humans are hard to kill, Ben said with a grin. Lucky for you. The evacuation began in earnest. Human crew members carefully lifted and carried Villani refugees through the failing docking tunnel. Alien had to be handled like delicate glass, but the humans managed it with surprising gentleness. Captain Zathera was one of the last to leave his ship. As Jake helped him through the airlock, the alien captain's skin glowed with what Amy had. Learned meant gratitude. Captain Morrison, Zathera said, "What you have done today will be remembered by my people forever. But I must ask, why did you risk so much for strangers?" Jake thought about the question as he looked back at the beautiful crystal ship that was slowly breaking apart. Because it was the right thing to do, he said finally. And because we're not really strangers anymore, are we? As the last Villani refugee was brought aboard the New Horizon, Danny began the dangerous process of separating the two ships and escaping the gravity well. Behind them, the gentle current finally broke apart, its crystal fragments glittering like stars as they fell toward the gas giant below. But everyone was safe. 347 Villani refugees were now aboard the New Horizon, beginning a journey that would change both their lives and the course of galactic history. The New Horizon's cargo base had been transformed overnight. What were once storage areas for scientific equipment were now temporary homes for 347 Villani refugees. Amy Rodriguez had worked with Ben Parker to adjust the lighting, gravity, and atmosphere to make the aliens as comfortable as possible. Jake Morrison walked through the main refugee area, amazed at how quickly both species were adapting to each other. The Villani had created small family groups throughout the space, their glowing skin providing gentle light that made the entire area look magical. The human crew moved among them carefully, bringing food and checking on their health. How are they doing? Jake asked Amy as she finished examining a young Villani. Better than expected, Amy replied. They're incredibly resilient for such a fragile species. But Captain, some of the things I'm learning about them are fascinating. Their biology is unlike anything we've seen. She led Jake to her temporary medical station, where Captain Zathera was waiting with several other Villani leaders. The alien captain's skin was glowing with calm blue patterns, which Amy had learned meant contentment and trust. Captain Morrison, Zathera said through the translation device, "My people wish to express their gratitude again. But we also have questions about your species. What you accomplished during the rescue should have been impossible." Jake sat down, carefully on a chair that Ben had modified to support human weight in the low-gravity section. "What do you mean?" An elderly Villani named Wise Singer stepped forward. Her skin was pale silver with age, but her large eyes were bright with intelligence. "Captain Morrison, we have traveled the galaxy for many cycles. We know of 43 different intelligent species that belong to the Galactic Collective. Never have we encountered beings like humans." "In what way?" Jake asked. Wise Singer's colors shifted to what Amy recognized as amazement. "Your engineer." Ben Parker worked in radiation levels that would kill any known species in seconds. "Your doctor, Amy Rodriguez, lifted weights that would require mechanical assistance for most beings. Your pilot flew through gravitational fields that should have crushed your ship." Captain Zathera added, and most amazing of all, "You risked your lives for strangers without any thought of payment or reward. This behavior is unknown among civilized species." Jake looked puzzled. "What do you mean unknown?" "Don't species in your Galactic Collective help each other?" Of course, Zathera replied. "But such help comes through proper channels, with treaties and agreements and careful planning. What you did was immediate, instinctive, and incredibly dangerous. You acted like..." He paused, searching for the right words. "Like what?" "Like what we call Deathworld dwellers," Wise Singer said quietly. "But Deathworld species are supposed to be violent and primitive. They are not supposed to develop space travel or show compassion." Amy leaned forward with interest. "Tell us about these Deathworlds." Over the next several hours, the Villani shared their knowledge of the galaxy. They described the Galactic Collective as a peaceful alliance of species that had existed for thousands of years. All member species came from what they called garden worlds, planets with gentle climates, low gravity, and few dangerous life forms. "We have always known that some worlds exist that are too dangerous for civilized life," Zathera explained. "Worlds with high gravity, dangerous weather, violent predators, and deadly diseases. The Collective has a classification system for such worlds." "What classification is Earth?" Jake asked. Wise Singer's skin turned pale with shock. "According to our records, Earth is classified as a Class 12 death world. That is the highest danger rating in our system. Worlds like Earth are considered impossible for intelligent life to develop on." Amy started laughing, which made several Villani jump in surprise. "I'm sorry," she said, "but you should see some of the other planets in our system. Mars is a frozen desert with no atmosphere. Venus has acid rain and temperatures hot enough to melt metal, and those are the nice ones." The Villani stared at her in horror. Ben Parker, who had been listening to the conversation, added, "And Earth itself has volcanoes. Earthquakes, hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, droughts, ice ages, and about 50 million different species that are all trying to eat each other." "How do you survive on such a world?" asked a young Villani whose name meant swift current. "We adapt," Jake said simply. "Humans are good at surviving in difficult conditions. We had to be, or we would have died out long ago." Dr. Amy began explaining human biology to the fascinated aliens. She described how human bones were dense and strong, how human muscles could generate enormous power, and how human organs could function in extreme conditions. "For example," Amy said, "humans can survive losing up to 40% of their blood. We can function with only one kidney or one lung. Our bones can break and heal themselves stronger than before. We can go weeks without food and days without water." The Villani listened with growing amazement. These capabilities seemed almost supernatural to species that had evolved in gentle environments. But the most interesting thing, Amy continued, is human pain tolerance and stress response. When humans are in danger, our bodies release chemicals that make us stronger, faster, and less sensitive to injury. We call it adrenaline. You become more powerful when you are hurt. Swift Current asked in wonder. In a way, yes. And we can force ourselves to continue functioning even when severely injured if we need to protect others. Captain Zathera's skin shifted to deep purple, which Amy had learned meant profound thought. This explains much about your behavior during the rescue. You were not being recklessly brave. You were simply doing what your species evolved to do. Ben Parker grinned. That's right. It's not just physical adaptation. Humans are also very good at solving problems quickly under pressure. You had to be because on Earth, if you can't adapt fast, you die. Over the following days, as the New Horizon traveled toward the nearest space station, the cultural exchange between humans and Villani continued. The aliens shared stories of their peaceful civilization, their art, and their philosophy of harmony with the universe. The humans, in turn, shared stories of Earth's history, the struggles and conflicts that had shaped humanity, but also the great achievements in art, science, and exploration. Your species fascinates us, Wise Singer told Jake during one of their conversations. You come from a world that should have destroyed you, yet it made you strong. You faced countless dangers, yet you learned compassion. You survived by fighting, yet you choose to help. Maybe that's what happens when a species grows up in a dangerous place, Jake suggested. You learn that everyone needs help sometimes, and that working together is better than fighting alone. The Villani had also shared important information about the Galactic Collective. They explained that the Collective had very strict rules about contact with Deathworld species. Most member civilizations believed that such species would be too violent and unpredictable to join their peaceful alliance. There have been a few contacts with Deathworld species in the past, Zethra explained, but they always ended badly. The Deathworld beings were aggressive, conquest-minded, and could not adapt to civilized behavior. But you don't think humans are like that? Amy asked. Clearly not, Zethera replied. You risk yourselves for others. You show respect for those who are different from you. You are strong, but you use your strength to protect rather than conquer. Captain Morrison realized that this first contact was going to be much more significant than they had first thought. The Villani were not just refugees they had rescued. They were ambassadors from an entire galactic civilization, and their report about humanity would determine how the rest of the galaxy would view Earth. Captain Zathera, Jake said during one of their final conversations before reaching the space station. What will you tell the Galactic Collective about humans? Alien Captain's skin glowed with warm golden light. We'll tell them that we have discovered something unprecedented. A Deathworld species that combines the strength to survive anything with the wisdom to choose peace. I will tell them that the galaxy's beliefs about Deathworld dwellers are wrong. And what do you think they will say? Some will be frightened, Zethra admitted. The idea of beings as powerful as humans joining the collective will worry many species. But others will be curious. And after what you have done for us, many will be grateful. As the New Horizon approached, the massive space station that would be humanity's first glimpse of galactic civilization. Both species prepared for what would come next. The humans had proven that they were unlike any Deathworld species the galaxy had ever encountered. Now they would have to prove that they deserved a place among the stars. But Jake Morrison was not worried. His species had survived ice ages and plagues, volcanoes and asteroids, predators and natural disasters. They had learned to explore, to adapt, and to help others along the way. Whatever challenges the galaxy might present, humanity was ready to face them. Kepler's station was unlike anything the human crew had ever imagined. The massive structure hung in space like a crystal flower, with hundreds of different sections branching out from a central core. Ships of dozens of different designs moved around it like insects around a hive. Some were sleek in silver, others looked like living coral, and a few appeared to be made of pure light. God, Danny Sullivan whispered from the pilot's seat as he guided the New Horizon toward one of the docking bays. It's beautiful. Captain Jake Morrison stood behind him, watching the incredible sight unfold on their screens. How many species live here? Captain Zathera, who had joined them on the bridge for their arrival, glowed with proud colors. Kepler's station is home to representatives from all 43 member species of the Galactic Collective. It serves As our primary trading hub and diplomatic center, Amy Rodriguez was scanning the various ships with her instruments. The variety is incredible. Each one uses completely different technology and design principles. That is the strength of the collective, Wise Singer added from her position near the communications console. We have learned that diversity brings wisdom. Each species contributes their unique knowledge and perspective. Ben Parker looked up from his engineering station with concern. Captain, we're getting requests for technical data from the station. They want to know everything about our ship, our technology, and our biological makeup, said his normal procedure. For first contact, Zathera explained. The collective must evaluate any new species before allowing them into the station. But do not worry. I have already sent my report about your rescue of our people. You will be welcomed. As the New Horizon docked with the massive station, Jake felt the weight of history. His small research ship was making humanity's first official contact with a galactic civilization. Everything they did from this moment forward would affect Earth's future. The docking bay they were assigned to was enormous, designed to handle ships much larger than the New Horizon. As they settled into position, Jake could see alien beings moving around on the station through the transparent walls. Some floated rather than walked, others moved on multiple legs, and a few seemed to change shape as they moved. Prepare for visitors, Lisa Grant announced from her communications station. I'm receiving a request from someone called Ambassador Teth of the Harmony Council. He wants to come aboard for formal first contact procedures. Jake straightened his uniform and checked his appearance. All right, people, this is it. Amy, I want you to document everything. Ben, monitor all our systems and record any technical exchanges. Ryan, standard security protocols, but try not to look threatening. The airlock opened and Ambassador Teketh entered, followed by several other alien beings. Teketh was tall and graceful, with pale blue skin and 4 arms. His head was elongated and he had no visible eyes, but he moved with confidence and purpose. Captain Morrison of Earth, Teketh said in perfect English, I am honored to meet you. Your actions in rescuing the Volani refugees have caused great excitement throughout the collective. Thank you, Ambassador, Jake replied. We're honored to meet you as well. Teth was accompanied by a floating jellyfish-like being that spoke in musical tones. A small, furry creature that looked like an intelligent squirrel and something that appeared to be made of living metal. Each represented a different member. Species of the collective. We have reviewed Captain Zathera's reports with great interest, Tech continued. If his descriptions are accurate, your species represents something unprecedented in galactic history. Amy stepped forward. In what way, Ambassador? You are the first Deathworld species we have encountered that shows both the physical capabilities to survive extreme conditions and the moral development to use those capabilities for peaceful purposes. Floating jellyfish being spoke through. A translation device. Previous contacts with Deathworld species have been ... unpleasant. They were typically aggressive, territorial, and sought to dominate rather than cooperate. Jake felt a moment of worry. Are you concerned that humans might be dangerous? Keth's skin color shifted slightly, which Amy realized might be the equivalent of a smile. On the contrary, Captain Morrison, what Captain Zathera has told us, suggests that humans might be exactly what the collective needs. Over the next several hours, the human crew gave detailed presentations about Earth, human history, and human capabilities. The alien ambassadors listened with growing amazement as Amy described human biology. Ben explained human technology, and Jake outlined human philosophy and values. Let me understand this correctly, the small furry ambassador said. Humans can survive radiation levels that would kill most of our species, lift objects that require mechanical assistance for us, and function effectively in gravitational fields that would crush our vessels. That's correct, Ben replied. Though we don't think of ourselves as particularly strong. On Earth, we're actually somewhere in the middle of the strength range among our planet species. The living metal being spoke in a voice like ringing bells, and yet, despite these capabilities, you chose to risk your lives to save strangers from a different species, with no expectation of reward. Of course, Jake said. They were in trouble and needed help. What else would we do? The ambassadors exchanged glances, or what passed for glances, among their various species. Tech spoke for the group, Captain Morrison. Most species in the collective have learned to avoid conflicts by developing careful protocols and procedures. We solve problems through negotiation and compromise. What you did during the rescue was immediate action in the face of mortal danger. Sometimes there isn't time for procedures, Amy said. Sometimes you just have to act. This is precisely why your species interests us so much, Teketh explained. The collective has grown peaceful and prosperous, but we have also become careful, perhaps too careful. There are problems in the galaxy that cannot be solved through negotiation. The floating jellyfish ambassador pulsed with different colors as it spoke. Pirates attack our trade routes, knowing we will not pursue them into dangerous regions of space. Disasters occur that we cannot respond to because the conditions are too hazardous for our ships and crews. Natural phenomena threaten colonies, but we lack the physical capabilities to mount effective rescue operations, added the small furry being. Jake began to understand where this conversation was heading. You're saying the collective needs someone who can handle dangerous situations. More than that, Tech replied. We believe the galaxy needs a species like humanity, strong enough to face any danger, but wise enough to use that strength to protect others rather than conquer them. The discussions continued for days as more representatives from collective species arrived at Kepler Station to meet the humans. Each brought their own perspectives and questions, but all were fascinated by humanity's unique combination of capabilities. Dr. Amy found herself in constant meetings with alien scientists, explaining concepts like pain tolerance, healing factors, and stress response. Many of the aliens simply could not comprehend how any species could survive the conditions that humans considered normal. Ben Parker spent his time with alien engineers, sharing technological concepts and learning about the incredible variety of solutions different species had developed for spaceflight and energy production. Ryan Cole worked with station security, demonstrating human physical capabilities and discussing tactics for dealing with dangerous situations that were beyond the abilities of most collective species. Throughout all these meetings, one theme kept emerging. The collective wanted to invite humanity to join their alliance, but not as ordinary members. They wanted humans to serve as their protectors and emergency responders. We are offering humanity a unique position, Teketh explained to Jake during one of their final meetings. You would be our first collective guardians. When disasters occur, when rescues are needed in dangerous conditions, when threats emerge that our peaceful species cannot handle, we would call upon Earth. Jake looked around at his crew, who had become heroes throughout collective space. Stories of their rescue of the Villani had spread to every member world, and humans were already being seen as legendary figures. What would this mean for Earth? Jake asked. It's full membership in the collective, with all the benefits that brings. Access to our technology, our knowledge, our trade networks. But also the responsibility to help protect 43 peaceful civilizations when they cannot protect themselves. Jake thought about Earth, about humanity's long history of surviving impossible conditions and helping each other through disasters. Ambassador Teketh, I think I can speak for my species when I say we would be honored to accept that responsibility. The formal ceremonies took place a week later, with representatives from every collective species in attendance. Captain Jake Morrison signed the agreement on behalf of Earth, making humanity the first Deathworld species ever admitted to the Galactic Collective, as the New Horizon prepared to return to Earth with news of humanity's new role in the galaxy. Jake stood on the bridge looking out at the incredible variety of ships around Kepler Station. Each one represented a different world, a different species, a different way of life.